the Under Secretary for African Affairs. The Under Secretary for African Affairs, I know from the ongoing, he has been totally against the Saudi Cameroon in certain degree, yes. In certain degree, the Under Secretary for African Affairs has been in opposition to the Saudi Cameroon. So, do we have to rely on him? Of course not. So we have other avenues that we can fight against that. We have our own Congress person in our respective district. We can present our case to our Congress person. We can present our case to our Senate person. We can present our case because we have other avenues within our means so that we can fight against the Under Secretary for African Affairs, against his personal egoistic interest on Southern Cameroon. So if we realize this, so our problem is how can we fight all this iniquity, fighting among ourselves. We can keep our own differences in our closet. We can keep our differences in the closet and work towards a fundamental unity. I know there are some people that there's nothing you can do about it. But if we continue the line of argument, present our case, and make people understand the fundamental value, why we deserve our sovereignty, one will agree with us if we continue in that pattern. When people go on the air and started insulting this one has done this one has done this, yes, we know that there was a misappropriation of funds. Yes, that happened in 2018. Yes. Do we have to focus on that? Of course not. We got to bypass all those bullshit. I'm sorry for my language. We got to bypass those bullshit. We got to bypass. We got to look for avenue that we can collaborate. We cannot sit and start talking about a misappropriation of funds because it has already happened. We can reverse it, but we can change the future if we decide to make it worth discussing. Continue calling somebody's name is bullshit, to be honest with you. Let's focus on what we can do at this moment, because it's something that has already happened. And now, how can we move forward? It's to look for avenues that we can collaborate. If we look for avenues that we can collaborate, then we can have a better way to present our case. We have a valid case, but we are in the process of losing it if we are not solid. Every evidence has shown that we are absolutely right. The Ngembo massacre, in which La Republique totally said no, none this happened on their watch. They began to accept it. And when they began to accept it, it's showing that we have a valid case. It's showing that we all have a valid case. And now it is an opportunity for all of us to come together and form a coalition of unity. Because the goal ultimately is to achieve. And one cannot dismiss that the ultimate goal can be achieved without the support of others. Whether you agree or disagree with my philosophy, we have to understand that we can only achieve if we walk across. Let me tell you an example. The United States just passed a stimulus budget, say they should provide assistance to all the citizens of these great nations. It required the support of other parties, irrespective of whether they disagree. But it required collaboration. It required Republican and the Democrat. Both must come to a compromise on issues that affect the citizens. So that is the area I'm talking of collaboration. That's the area of collaboration. Collaboration can only come in if they look into, say, okay, this is a matter of citizens. This is not a matter of either Funton Daniel or matter of the next person. It's a matter of the citizens. How can we, in the midst of misunderstanding between us, work together for the common good of Southern Cameroon? Of course, if the United States acknowledge that La Republique, if the United States acknowledge that La Republique step out and point that they did carry on the act, that is not just one incident. There are several incidences when a home is burned down and the family are being roasted, and they prevent the family from going on to serve their relatives that are being burnt in at the home. When the hospital is burned down and the relatives are prevented from going in to serve their relatives, that's just an eyes of a teaspoon that La Republique has carried on atrocity in Southern Cameroon. And yet you want to tell me this is the moment that we must unite for the common good of Ambazonia. Our case is stronger. Our case is unique. Our case is fundamentally valuable. More than any other case that you may refer to that have crisis. Of course, Article 1608. Article 1608 of the United Nations specify that the people of Southern Cameroon. Why would La Republique have just a single name, Cameroon, La Republique? So what happened to the United Nations Article 1608? Was Article 1608 ever revised? No. At the United Nations headquarters here in New York, the Article 1608 is still valid, it's still permanent, it's still recognized. But we have a people that they cannot open their mind and look at things beyond their own imaginations. They began by insult, because insult, they grew up in a family where insult is the top priority. So therefore, insult is the top priority of those individuals that they grew up in that type of a dynamic home, which I can emphasize. So, looking beyond and collaborating is beyond their means. There are some other individuals that has been paid by La Republique, and they're acting like an agent of La Republique. They will undermine. There are some that were in jail. They have been released from jail. When they were released from jail, they never opened a can of their voice. But they are here to tell us that we have to work in a federation with a neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon. In what category are we going to work with a nation that is contrary to our policy? So this is to remind us that let's unite. Let's unite. Let's forget about the insult. Imagine, let's take for example, let's say all the various factions decided to call a conference and form a coalition of organizations and have a sound directives that unite for the common good of Ambazonia and give a direct front attack on La Republique. I can imagine the world will stand today and say, no, we stand for Southern Cameroon. If all of us have unite, call for a general and form a general understanding, form a general association, a general understanding, despite the fact that we have some differences, and we form that unified coalition, and we face La Republique wholeheartedly, I can trust you, La Republique will surrender within the next 48 hours. But unfortunately, one thing that I am the ultimate person, and that I am who I am, and no one can deceive me. I know more better. You don't know no better. You don't. You're simply an obstacle to progress. You're simply standing as an obstacle to progress. You're standing as a roadblock to the unified Amazonia. You're standing as a roadblock. Have you thought about yourself? What is my position? We know that some amount of money has been lavished. But I contribute money as well. But I have gone beyond that level of thinking that money, because it's gone. So now, what is the strategy moving forward? What is the strategy moving forward? That is what matters. Imagine the fun of Bafut. Even Ahijo in his 25 years of service in La Republic, Ahijo has never messed with the fundum of Southern Cameroon, for Christ's sake. Ahijo has never messed with the fundum of Southern Cameroon. Even all of us have never messed with the fundum of our palace. We hold high esteem of our royal fundum, and we respect the dignity of our royal fundum. And that makes us extraordinarily different than the rest of other African nations combined. Our cultural heritage is well respected. You can imagine that when President Obama traveled to Africa, the cultural garment that was chosen was from Southern Cameroon to provide for the United States high dignity. The cultural garment that was provided for a high dignity and respected person from the United States was taken from Southern Cameroon. That is the pride of the people of Southern Cameroon. And yet, we are undermining this fundamental value of our cultural heritage. And if we can decide to come together and unite, then the enemy will the time of surrendering. So when I see people get on the air, because as soon as I finish, they will be back on the air and talk about money that has gone. No, we can bypass that thing that has happened. And we now need to move forward beyond that force of argument. Because it's gone. It's just like you put money in a... You all know what is called TSA in Douala. TSA is in Douala. For all of you who know what is TSA, of course, it's every part of this, but it's more commonly. When the military of La Republic, when they get their salary, as soon as they drop at TSA office, that salary is gone. Once the salary is gone, he has to walk back on foot to his house. That is what the military of La Republic salary is gone to. As soon as they get to TSA office,